Mercedes may appear to have the 2026 Formula One season firmly under control after securing victories in the opening three races, but those within the team itself are far from convinced that this is the beginning of an unstoppable runaway. Toto Wolff has been candid in downplaying any sense of early dominance, insisting that what might look like a straightforward advantage on paper is anything but a guaranteed home run. A closer examination of the races reveals why the team is staying cautious. While Mercedes has been converting opportunities into wins, they have not been in complete command throughout every session. The cracks in their control first became noticeable in Japan, where the race did not unfold with the kind of effortless authority seen in the earlier events. Inconsistent launches have repeatedly left them vulnerable to early pressure, forcing them to fight for positions rather than simply dictating the tempo from the front. Meanwhile, Ferrari's picture is coming into sharper focus with every passing weekend. Charles Leclerc has been refreshingly honest about the team's most glaring shortfall. The power unit remains their clearest limitation. Yet beyond that single weakness, the SF26 is proving to be a well-rounded machine that performs solidly across most other aspects of performance. This is crucial because it means Ferrari does not need to tear everything apart and start from scratch. They simply need to bridge one critical gap. Adding to their strengths is an undeniable edge off the line. This isn't luck or coincidence, it stems from a deliberate strategic choice in how they've managed energy deployment under the complex new 2026 regulations. That approach has allowed Ferrari to consistently put Mercedes under immediate pressure at the start of races, disrupting their rhythm before the field even settles. With a significant upgrade package lined up for Miami and an extended break providing valuable extra development time, the early season script feels far from written in stone. The bigger question emerging now is whether Mercedes is truly operating on a plane that no rival can realistically reach, or whether we are beginning to witness the precise limits that clever opponents can exploit. If you want to understand why the upcoming Miami Grand Prix has the potential to reshape the entire narrative of this championship, the deeper story is worth exploring. On the surface, the statistics paint a dominant picture: 3 races, 3 wins, and an average qualifying and race pace advantage hovering around half a second per lap. In modern Formula One, that kind of margin is usually enough to set the tone for an entire season. However, when you dig beneath the headline results, a more nuanced reality starts to emerge. Mercedes has dominated the final outcomes, but they have not dominated every phase of the races themselves. In Australia and China, once the cars reached clear air, Mercedes looked composed and in control, managing tires and energy with clinical precision. Yet even in those victories, the opening laps carried subtle signs of fragility. Japan removed any remaining doubt. Mercedes still came out on top, but the race was far from comfortable. There were stretches where the team was forced to react rather than lead, managing situations instead of imposing their will. That distinction matters deeply under these new regulations. The 2026 cars place enormous emphasis on energy harvesting, deployment strategies, and maintaining consistent performance across varying race conditions. It's a complex, evolving puzzle where outright pace is only part of the equation. Sustaining that pace reliably is what truly counts. So far, Mercedes has handled these demands better than anyone else, but not without occasional imperfections. One recurring vulnerability has been their starts. While not catastrophic, the occasional loss of position early on has been enough to complicate their afternoons, pushing them into traffic where their theoretical advantage becomes much harder to exercise. In free air, the Mercedes package remains formidable. In dirty air or compromised positions, however, translating that speed into control requires more effort. Strategy turns defensive, energy management grows trickier, and overtaking opportunities become less certain. This is exactly the opening that rival teams have been searching for, and none have been better positioned to capitalize on it than Ferrari. Ferrari's strong getaways have become one of the standout features of the early season. Jacques Clear revealed that the team made a calculated decision to turn potential energy management weaknesses at the start into a genuine competitive edge. That gamble is already delivering results. By challenging aggressively into turn 1, Ferrari has repeatedly succeeded in breaking Mercedes' rhythm and stealing valuable track position in the critical opening phase. Yet Ferrari's challenge fades as the race progresses. Leclerc has openly identified the power unit as the area holding them back most clearly. Over a full race distance, that deficit prevents them from maintaining the same intensity they show at the beginning. Mercedes gradually reasserts itself once the field spreads out and clean air becomes available. This creates a fascinating pattern. Ferrari can disrupt and threaten early, but they lack the sustained firepower to convert those moments into consistent victories. What makes Ferrari dangerous, however, is everything else surrounding that power unit weakness. The chassis feels balanced, the drivers are confident in the car's behavior, and the team is showing a level of operational consistency that has sometimes been missing in recent years. Leclerc has highlighted gains coming from multiple directions: tire management, aerodynamics, and chassis performance. Fred Vasseur echoed this by stressing that there is still plenty of room for improvement across the board, describing development as being in its infancy. The implication is significant. Ferrari does not need a revolutionary engine fix to become genuine title contenders. They already have a solid foundation that can be refined and strengthened. That's why the current gap, while real and noticeable, does not necessarily feel insurmountable. In more conventional regulatory eras, a half-second advantage often proved decisive for the whole year. But 2026 is different. The learning curve is steep, and the potential for rapid development across the grid is unusually high. Jacques Clear himself noted that teams could realistically find up to a second of performance over the course of the season under these rules. That perspective reframes the early dominance and explains why so much focus is now shifting toward Miami. The 5-week break represents a major reset opportunity. Teams have had time to pore over data, pinpoint weaknesses, and prepare substantial upgrades. Ferrari is reportedly bringing what insiders are calling a package and a half to Miami, a comprehensive update aimed at addressing several areas simultaneously rather than small incremental steps. Mercedes, for its part, is under no illusions. Toto Wolff has described the race as something of a championship restart, acknowledging that the effectiveness of everyone's development work during the break will only become clear once the cars hit the track. McLaren has also shown encouraging signs of recovery, with Oscar Piastri's strong showing in Japan signaling that the team is beginning to unlock more from its car through better setup work and improved power unit usage. While the result may have flattered them slightly, the upward trajectory is clear. Red Bull, conversely, continues to struggle with fundamental handling and balance issues despite a competitive power unit, leaving them as spectators to the main fight for now. This concentrates the immediate battle squarely between Mercedes and Ferrari. Ferrari may not yet have the tools to beat Mercedes race after race, but they are close enough to stay in contention, apply constant pressure, and pounce on any small execution error from the leading team. Mercedes doesn't need to suddenly slow down to face a serious challenge. They only need to lose control of those decisive early moments where track position is won and lost. Ferrari is already targeting those exact phases with precision. If they can extend their influence just a little further into the race itself, the dynamic could shift noticeably. With development accelerating rapidly across the paddock, nothing feels settled. Mercedes remains the clear benchmark and the team to beat. That much is obvious, but the advantage behind them is not frozen in place. It is being probed, tested, and narrowed week by week. The real story of 2026 is no longer simply about who is fastest today. It is about who is evolving in the right directions at the right pace and whether those improvements can arrive quickly enough to rewrite the season's direction. Is Ferrari genuinely closing the gap in a meaningful way, or does Mercedes still sit comfortably out of reach? The next few races, starting with Miami, may provide the first clear answers. What are your thoughts? Is this the start of a genuine title fight, or are we still looking at a Mercedes-led season?